Here he goes, deep downfield. Trent Sherfield's got it.
The NFL offseason may be over, but it's certainly not too early for some big-name players to seek a new home as soon as possible. For whatever reason, things aren't working out between an ultra-talented young NFLer and his current team. At this point, it's becoming quite obvious that a fresh start is going to be the best option for these 10 household names.
I would say he's better all around this year, you know. I feel like all of us are. We all took this offseason pretty serious.
Kyler Murray. After some awkward negotiating, the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray agreed to a 5-year extension worth $230.5 million in the 2022 offseason. The deal curiously featured a mandatory independent study clause, but the Cardinals removed it following plenty of rightful public backlash. Murray oftentimes seemed agitated and fed up with the Cardinals during a trying 2022 season that hit rock bottom when he suffered a torn ACL late in the season. Instead of trying to build a winner around Murray, the Cardinals went quiet in free agency and even released All-Pro wideout DeAndre Hopkins when they easily could have gotten a nice haul for him. Clearly, the Cardinals are trying to tank, which means they don't really want Murray around long-term and are hopeful about winning the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Hiring a defensive-minded coach in Jonathan Gannon to replace the offensive-minded Cliff Kingsbury also served as a hint that Arizona isn't sold on building around Murray. They are obviously eyeing a clean slate and a long-term future without Murray. The first overall pick of 2019 deserves better than this. See what Matt Stafford did when he finally got out of a dysfunctional Detroit Lions organization? What if Murray went to a team that may soon need a starting QB like Atlanta, Washington, or even Minnesota? Heck, maybe even Las Vegas. We don't want to see Murray's prime years go to waste on an Arizona team that, quite frankly, never seems to know what they're doing. The best bet is for him to demand a trade and restructure his deal for a new team. And for the Cardinals to start from scratch. Trey Lance. The San Francisco 49ers gave up a king's ransom to the Miami Dolphins for the number 3 pick in 2021, dealing the number 12 pick in that year's draft along with 2022 first and third rounders and a 2023 first. With the number 3 selection, the 49ers took North Dakota State QB Trey Lance. Fast forward to 2023, and it couldn't be more obvious that Lance and the 49ers are better off calling a divorce and moving on. Lance unfortunately suffered a season-ending ankle injury in Week 2 of last season. Jimmy Garoppolo took back the starting reins before suffering a season-ending foot injury in Week 13, prompting Kyle Shanahan and company to turn to rookie Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant of 2022 looked like a seasoned vet and won all 7 starts including the playoffs and led San Fran to another NFC Championship game appearance. Shanahan has made it clear that this is Purdy's team, and understandably so. Lance was the number 3 pick for a reason. His dual-threat style of play and slick arm release made him a hot-shot prospect 2 years ago. But with only 4 career starts under his belt, it's impossible to know who he is until he gets the chance to start elsewhere. A QB-needy team may as well take a flyer on Lance and see if he can be their QB of the future. The 49ers have every reason to move forward with Purdy as long as he keeps winning. And it's only fair that they let Lance try to become a starting QB elsewhere. The young QB needs a new home, so here's hoping that the 49ers are willing to help supply it. Jonathan Taylor. The 2021 rushing champion sought a trade from the Indianapolis Colts following a meeting with Jim Irsay. The Colts owner made it clear to Taylor that the club wasn't going to hand him a contract extension as he heads into the final season of his rookie deal. You can see both sides here. Taylor is the Colts' best offensive weapon and wants to be paid what he's worth, but the Colts know that the running back is a devalued position and that lucrative RB contracts rarely end well. Taylor is basically where Christian McCaffrey was with the Carolina Panthers a year ago, the best player on a terrible team with no realistic championship dreams in the near future. Run CMC got traded to the 49ers, played like an All-Pro, and got them to the NFC Championship. Win-win for all parties. It only makes sense for the Colts and Taylor to go down a similar path. He's obviously not here to stay beyond 2023, and there's no way they can watch him leave for nothing in free agency. So for GM Chris Ballard, it should be an easy call to trade Taylor for a draft pick or 2. He'd surely get at least a 3rd rounder, and try and find a new and much cheaper starting RB for 2024. Cam Akers. It was reported during the 2022 season that the Los Angeles Rams were fielding offers for Akers. The Florida State product later stated that he never once asked for the Rams to trade him though. Either way, it's obvious that both sides would probably benefit from a change. Akers showed promise in 2020 when he rushed for 625 yards and 2 touchdowns in 13 games, sharing the duties with Darrell Henderson. He was supposed to miss the entire 2021 season after suffering a torn Achilles tendon, but Akers had a remarkably quick recovery and was able to assist the Rams in their Super Super Bowl 56 championship journey. In 2022, Akers played all but 2 games and finished with 786 yards and 7 touchdowns on a lousy Rams squad. Good numbers, given the circumstances, but you also just get the feeling that Akers would be able to do better elsewhere. Akers is entering the final year of his contract, and it's hard to envision the Rams committing long-term to him beyond this year. Los Angeles seems high on second-year RB Kyren Williams, plus they used a 6th-round pick this year on Zach Evans. It makes sense to go with the younger and healthier options while giving Akers the chance to compete for the RB1 job on an actual contender. So hey, why not trade Akers and see what the kids can do in the backfield? Patrick Queen. For some reason, it just hasn't fully come together for Queen in Baltimore. At the time, it felt like a steal for the Ravens when the LSU linebacker fell to them in the number 28 spot in the 2020 NFL Draft. But Queen has been an average to below average starter over his first 3 years in the NFL. As a rookie, Pro Football Focus graded him at a horrendous 29.7. A year later, he graded out at 43.5. And according to Pro Football Reference, Queen allowed a passer rating north of 100 when targeted in both 2020 and 2021. He's been a massive liability in coverage and hasn't exactly made up for it with big-time plays, recording just 3 interceptions and 10 sacks. The Ravens traded for, then eventually extended, star linebacker Roquan Smith. They used a 3rd-round pick on Clemson product Trenton Simpson. Those are both strong indicators that they're ready for life without Queen, who had the 5th-year option on his rookie deal declined. Queen has a very high skill set and could easily flourish in the right system. New England Patriots or San Francisco 49ers, anyone? But it's pretty clear that he's just not a fit with John Harbaugh's Ravens, and Queen simply needs a fresh start sooner rather than later. Devin White. After a stellar rookie season, the number 5 selection of the 2019 draft went into beast mode as a sophomore. White racked up 9 sacks, 4 pass defenses, 1 forced fumble, and 140 combined tackles. In the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' run to a Super Bowl 55 championship, White had 2 interceptions, as many pass defenses, 2 fumble recoveries, and 38 combined tackles. It simply felt like the first of what would be several all-star level seasons for White. But no, he had a miserable PFF grade of 36.2 in 2021 and an uninspiring grade of 45.5 in 2022. As well, he had just 9 total sacks over those 2 seasons and 0 interceptions. And finally, White allowed a 104.9 passer rating when targeted last season. White actually requested a trade from the Bucs earlier this offseason, but he walked back on it when it became clear that the organization wouldn't grant his wish. The Bucs are simply being selfish here. They're holding on to their championship glory from 3 seasons ago and keep fading veterans instead of just rebuilding. White obviously doesn't want to be here long term, and his declining production should make a trade a no-brainer for GM Jason Light and company. So the Bucs are just okay watching White likely walk for nothing in 2024 free agency. Or how about trading him for a mid-round pick and getting something that might actually help them for their inevitable rebuild? To us, the answer is obvious, but the Buccaneers are making this a lot harder than they need to. Just saying. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. CEH had a productive rookie year for the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020, rushing for 803 yards and contributing exactly 1,100 yards of offense. Had he not missed 3 games, Edwards-Helaire could have easily exceeded 1K rushing. Edwards-Helaire was unable to build off that promising year after missing 7 games in 2021. Then in 2022, he lost his starting duties to rookie and 7th-round pick Isaiah Pacheco, who finished with 830 rushing yards. For KC, it was a no-brainer to decline the 5th-year option for CEH's rookie deal. Pacheco was younger, cheaper, and simply better. And they have a serviceable backup option in veteran Jerick McKinnon, making Edwards-Helaire expendable. Like Cam Akers in LA, it just feels like Edwards-Helaire won't get the workload nor the opportunity to reach his full potential in 2023. Of course, Edwards-Helaire could become a 1,000-yard rusher, but it's not happening in a Patrick Mahomes-led offense. Edwards-Helaire should be keen on a fresh start at some point here in 2023. It would also give him the chance to enhance his market value for next year. You know, he would even be a good fit for an RB1 needy team like Miami, Tampa Bay, Arizona, or even the Rams. Isaiah Simmons. There was a great amount of hype around Simmons when the Cardinals drafted him 8th overall in 2020. This ultra-athletic freak of nature played corner, safety, linebacker, and defensive end for the Tigers, and the sky felt like the limit for him in Arizona. But in over his head coach Cliff Kingsbury never found a way to properly utilize Simmons, who hasn't graded higher in a single season at PFF than 67.9. Though he started 13 games in 2023 and had 2 picks, 7 pass defenses, and 4 sacks, Simmons was alarmingly a liability in pass coverage, something he's supposed to excel in. Per Pro Football Reference, he allowed a 77.1% completion percentage when targeted and 4 receiving TDs. As well, he allowed a 104.3 passer rating to opposing QBs. With J.J. Watt and Zach Allen gone, Simmons has precious little help in the front seven. With additional responsibility on his watch, can we really expect Simmons to suddenly break out after 3 uninspiring years to begin his career? It couldn't be more obvious that Simmons needs a fresh start. With such a high skill set, you simply gotta think he needs to just get in the right system. Just spitballing here, but wouldn't a team like Baltimore, Kansas City, Dallas, or New Orleans make sense? Bottom line, Simmons needs the opportunity to shine elsewhere, because it ain't happening in AZ. Rashad Bateman. The Ravens used the number 27 selection in 2021 on the big 6'2", 210-pound Minnesota wideout. Unfortunately, injuries have limited Bateman to 18 total games through 2 seasons, including just 6 altogether in 2022. The Ravens' offseason moves suggest that they're not waiting on Bateman anymore. They signed former Pro Bowler Odell Beckham Jr. and the shifty Nelson Aguilar before using their first-round pick on another wideout in Jordan Addison. Baltimore will always be a rush-first offense with Lamar Jackson. Superstar tight end Mark Andrews will always be the #1 pass catcher, and then there's LBJ, Aguilar, and Addison. So what? Bateman might be the number 4 or 5 receiving option for Lamar? The Ravens didn't draft the Minnesota kid to be a depth piece. And Bateman surely didn't sign up for the idea of being near the bottom of a team's depth chart. If the Ravens aren't featuring Bateman early and often in their offense, they should be keen on dealing him to a receiver-needy team. Almost any club would be content to take a chance on a recent former first-round pick who just might reach a Pro Bowl-like level in another offense. Jerry Judy. Judy has been a good but not great receiver up to this point. But remember the high expectations surrounding him back in 2020? He was supposed to be something close to a top 10 receiver in the NFL by now. Of course, it's not entirely fair to blame Judy. Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, and the 2022 version of Russell Wilson didn't exactly supply Judy with elite QB play. Despite Wilson's awful play in 2022, Judy turned in a career year with 67 receptions for 972 yards and 6 touchdowns. Still, you can't help but wonder what more Judy could do with an actual top 10 level QB. His numbers have been on par with a decent WR2, but again, he's supposed to be a superstar by now. Judy's potential is limitless, but it just hasn't come together in Mile High City. Just imagine if he was traded to a Super Bowl contender with an elite QB. Hey, the Buffalo Bills make perfect sense. But which other NFL player needs a fresh start ASAP? Let us know in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.